All right. For those who don't know, I'm Jeanne, and today I wanted to share with you a practice that I do to release my fears. And I consider it a sacred ritual because it's part of a spiritual path for healing. How many of you guys have you ever done a ritual or something like this? I'll wait for the comments to see if you've ever done a ritual or I think the comments might be a little slow. All right, well, you have? Okay, great. Good. Well, okay. Well, what I'm teaching today is a ceremony where you heal yourself through surrendering. And then you channel those feelings into an object which you will release and bury. In this way, you end up changing yourself, transmuting your fear into the object. And when it's done thoroughly, the fear in question, whatever it is that you are working on, will be gone. If it isn't done thoroughly, you'll have remnants of the fear remaining, showing up like, for example, if the fear is I'm highly afraid of dogs, then it can change into I don't like dogs. And then perhaps the fear becomes less and where the dog now that you were once afraid of just triggers you when you see a dog to be agitated or stressed, but the fear has been lessened. Now, if you thoroughly are able to surrender to the process, then yes, you will release your fears. Okay. So the thoroughness of the healing depends on how well you surrender and how well you surrender into the process, and that depends on where your awareness is at and if there are other fears or judgments that are preventing you from fully surrendering to the process. Does anyone have any questions so far? So let me give an example of not being able to fully surrender. It's like instead of jumping into the deep end of the pool, you just go ankle deep. And so if you only go ankle deep into the pool, you don't release everything. You don't get fully wet. And that's just like if you don't fully surrender, you won't get the whole effect of the ritual. And then, of course, there are reasons why you wouldn't fully surrender. And that's if you have other fears that are kind of connected to the fear that you're working on. Let's go back to the dog example. If, say, you're highly afraid of dogs, but now you're dating someone who has a dog, and, well, you want to remove this fear because you would like to get along with this dog because you're dating this person who has a dog. But if you have other fears, right? Say you have fears of connecting to people, or you have fears of being in a relationship or other fears like that, then it's going to prevent you, right, from fully surrendering into healing your fear of dogs, because there are these larger fears that are kind of in the way. So that is one way that you won't be able to fully surrender into the ritual. All right. So I had asked you guys to get an object to channel all your fears into. And I was wondering if anyone would share what kind of objects they have, or how they decided which object to use. Hello. Thank you for the heart. Yes, a quartz is absolutely perfect to use, and perfect timing. I definitely think it was meant to be for you to use that. Awesome. Okay, so before we begin, I want to outline the steps on what we're doing so that you're aware of the process and you can prepare yourself. I recommend that you are in a quiet and safe place where you can be raw. And what I mean by raw is totally honest with yourself, because you will be speaking out loud. If you're unable to do that right now, this will be, this is being recorded, and you can do that later. You can redo this ritual at a later time when you can be totally raw and honest. Because as you will see, the only way this ritual works for real is when you can thoroughly surrender to your feelings and emotions. And okay, so the first, I also want to outline exactly what we're doing. So the first part, I'm going to lead you on a grounding meditation so that you just become more present. Then I'm going to be giving you verbal suggestions on what feelings to bring to the surface. Okay, so this is important. I'm going to give you suggestions, and you are going to take these suggestions and answer them and speak about them out loud. And what we're trying to do is raise your the intensity of your emotions. So, for example, with the dog fear, if you're afraid of dogs, I'm going to say, think about your fear. So then you would think about dogs. Think about what this fear does to you. You would try to create the emotions in your body about being so afraid of the dogs, right? And what we were trying to do is increase the intensity and totally feel it. You may start crying, you may start shaking, and you may even want to stop, but don't, because that is where we need you to be. In this ritual, you have to bring yourself to this kind of, intense state in order to channel that intense state into the object. The times that I've done this, and I've been doing this for a few years, it's not a pretty process. I'll just be honest. It's not a pretty process. It's ugly. when you are so honest about your fears, and when you talk about how this fear is ruining your life, or how this fear is affecting your future, how this fear affects your relationships, how this fear affects, your happiness, yeah, you're going to start crying. You're going to start feeling all those deep emotions that are kind of supporting this fear. And then I'll be giving suggestions about where did this fear start, etc. I don't want to give it all out while we're not doing it, but I just want you to know that what I want from you is for you to fully surrender, for you to fully feel your feelings. Excuse me. For you to fully feel your feelings. And that's how you're going to release them and channel them into that object. Okay. I'm looking at my notes. Okay, also, so like I said, we're going to be channeling your fears into the object. I want you to hold the object in your dominant hand, because your dominant hand is where you send out energy, where your receptive hand is when you receive energy. And if you don't know that, now you know. I could talk more about stuff like that, but that's another topic. So just for now, just know that that object should be in your dominant hand. Again, you will have the object in your dominant hand. You will be raising your emotions, and you will be channeling that energy into the object. I want you, when you're speaking aloud your fears, I want you to feel it in your body, and I want you to visualize sending it to the object. I want you to feel heat going into the object. I've whispered into it. I've screamed at an object before. Whatever it took, or whatever was happening within my body as I'm raising my emotions and putting it into this object, I go with it, right? I totally surrender to it. And then once the surrendering part is over, we'll say our gratitudes, and then we're going to wrap the object in paper. And after that, I will also do a future matrix exercise with you, where you see yourself without this fear, and then we will imprint that on you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying all that stuff, don't worry. I'm here to guide you through the whole process, and there'll never be a time that you won't know what you're doing. And then at the end of the ritual, right, after we say our gratitudes and we do the imprinting, the next part of the ritual will be on you. You will take the object and you will bury it. And one thing you don't want to do is bury it in your house. And you don't want other people to know where it is. And you don't want other people to touch it, because it's like a loaded object. And somebody else can take it back in, or you can take it back in if you touch it again. And this is just my beliefs, but I think that's how it works. And the way I've done it in this way, where I bury it, I mean, fears that I've had that are now buried, I can't even sometimes pull them up. I'm like, what was that about before that I couldn't handle, blah, 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 and it's gone. And so you don't want to be able to touch this again, and you want to bury it in a place that no one knows about, only you do, and that if other people touch it that you don't know, I mean, I don't know what happens to that, but try to put it in a place that it will stay buried for a while. And so when you go to bury it, I generally would go out into nature, listen to your intuition where you think this should be buried. A lot of times I will ask, when I'm in nature, who will care for this for me, who will take on these fears for me because I don't need them any longer. And it always so happens to be a tree or some plant, a potted plant, not a potted plant in your house, of course, a potted plant outside. And then you would be sincere in your request and show gratitude, and then bury your object. I also like to bury my objects in places that I may pass again. So, for example, today I went on my walk, and there's this tree that is holding these fears that I had about the future before. And I walk past it, and I just say, thank you for holding that for me, because I feel free from it. And I don't worry about stuff that whatever that fear was. I can't even remember what it was, but I just say thank you anyway, because obviously they're doing a great job keeping that over there and away from me. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, well, I'm going to start the meditation now. Like I said, this is being recorded and will be available to everyone if they want to revisit it, use it as a resource, go through the meditation again, or or go through it again. So let's begin. First, we're going to ground, and I'm going to talk you through this grounding process. So I want you to be sitting in a comfortable position. You will have your object in your dominant hand. For this part, your eyes can be closed. And then when I start giving the suggestions, you may open your eyes, but you can keep them closed if you like. Okay. So let's begin by focusing on our breath. Begin to slow down your breath. Taking deeper breaths. And relaxing your body. We're going to take a 5-second inhale and then a relaxed exhale. And just inhale as I count. And then when I say exhale, just release your breath. It doesn't have to be fast or slow, just a natural exhalation. And let's begin. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Now let's ground ourselves into our body. I want you to take an inhale and send your breath down your legs and to your feet. And as you exhale, feel your legs get more relaxed. Now I want you to take an inhale and send it through your arms to your fingertips. And as you exhale, feel your arms more relaxed. Now I want you to take an inhale and send it to all your limbs, your arms, down your legs. And as you exhale, feel your body get even more relaxed. All right. Now that you are grounded into your body, I'm going to be giving the verbal suggestions, and I want you to be speaking the answers out loud. After each suggestion, I'm going to be pausing to give you time to do the work, the surrendering process of the ritual. And your first suggestion: whatever your fear is, bring it to the surface now. Think about what it is that you're afraid of, that you just want to release. You're so done with it. Think of that right now and say out loud what that fear is. Talk about your fear. Why do you fear it? Talk about how this fear has affected your life. Talk about the things you've lost or missed out on because of this fear. Get into the details. Name it. Name what did you lose? How did you act? All because of this fear. And channel this pain into the object. Bring to your mind those experiences that promote this fear. Name whatever insecurities come up associated with this fear. Speak it out loud. Admit to yourself everything that this fear has caused you. You are safe to be honest, to be real, to be raw. Channel the fear into the object. Talk about how this fear has affected your relationships. Talk about this fear, how it's affected your friendships. Talk about this fear, how it's affected your partnerships. Talk about a particular relationship that is connected to this fear. And channel this fear into the object. Now talk about how this fear makes you feel. Does it make you angry? Does it make you sad? Do you feel hurt? Do you feel lost? What are the emotions this fear triggers and touches? Name them. Talk about the experiences that this fear brings up for you. Talk about how it's made you change as a person. Talk about how it's affected your beliefs about life, about love, about friendship, about relationships, about business or success or school, whatever it is that this fear is about. Talk about when you learned this fear. Who taught it to you? What experience did you have where this fear grew out of? Or that's where this fear came from because of this particular experience. Think back. When did it start? When did you start being afraid of whatever this is? Talk about this fear, how it's gotten worse, or how it's affecting your present day, your daily life. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, channel all those feelings into your object. Talk about what is the worst thing you can think of when it comes to this fear. What has this fear cost you? What has this fear stopped you from doing? Talk about how it's affecting your ability to be yourself, to feel love, to feel freedom. Whatever it is that this fear does to you, talk about it and channel your suffering into the object. Talk about how this fear affects how you interact with the world. Talk about how this fear will affect your future if you continue to have it. And talk about how if you don't heal this fear, it will destroy you, or it will hurt you, or it will do whatever to you. Talk about it. Channel all your pain into the object. I want you to feel everything right now. The pain, trauma, suffering, everything that comes from this fear. Feel that in your body right now. And say anything that comes to mind and channel that into the object. Begin to calm down now. Focus on your breath. Breathe deeper. Feeling more relaxed now. We're bringing down that intensity. You're feeling calm once again. All this fear has gone into this object. And you're breathing slower now. Feeling relieved. Feeling calm. Now let's say thank you to this object for holding your fears. Say anything else that you think is important, that makes you feel hopeful. Say a thank you to yourself. And any other thank yous you want to say. And now wrap the object in the paper. Go ahead and set the object aside, and we're going to do a little matrix work. For this, I would like you to close your eyes. Concentrating again on your breath. Taking slow, deep breaths. Now visualize what life is like without this fear. What would you be doing? Do you see yourself? Where are you? What are you doing? Get into the details of what you're seeing. What are you wearing in this vision of yourself without this fear? What are you doing? Are other people around? How do you feel? Now I want you to take this image, an image where you are fearless and you are doing what you want to do and you are feeling wonderful, strong, and confident. And I want you to take this vision and place it right over your head. Now I want you to let this vision melt on top of your head, into your brain, and it's slowly coming down your face, onto your shoulders, seeping into your skin, penetrating your body down to your tissues, bones, and cells. This vision is taking over your entire body. I want you to feel those feelings in the vision. Let it take over your whole body. And once you feel it all the way through your body, I want you to take the feelings, the vision, everything associated with this beautiful picture and place it in your hands and press it into your heart. And let it expand in your heart. Feel how strong and confident and fearless you are. Feel how your future is bright. See how you have so much freedom. Your future is filled with freedom. And let that expand through your heart. Feel all the good feelings that comes from believing in this vision, in this future for yourself. And when you're ready, send it out into the matrix. Imagine your heart is like a radio tower and you are sending out this frequency. So you want to blast it, send it off from your heart, 360 degrees all around you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and take a deep breath. Good. Now the next part of the ritual is for you to take this object and bury it. So listen to your intuition. Where do you think this object should go? Go to that place. Ask nature or whatever it is that's going to hold it for you, if they would hold it for you. Bury it. Say your gratitude. And then walk away. This sacred ritual for releasing fears is, again, not a pretty process. When you are raw and truthful, those emotions aren't always pleasant. But if you can surrender to those emotions and feel them, because they are valid, those feelings are valid and they want to be felt. If you can fully feel them, you will be able to release them. Does anyone have any questions? I don't know who's still on. I think there's only, yeah. Well, this is going to be uploaded onto my YouTube channel and my website. So whoever wants to use it or do the meditation again or use it as a resource, they'll be welcome to. Thank you for showing up, and I hope this is helpful to you. Thank you. Bye for now.